Hello, my name is Doreen Ellen Bel-Dotan in Tzfat in Israel, and I'm going to be speaking about a number of different subjects which I'm not going to connect. I'm not going to offer suggestions of how to connect them. If they interest you, then I'd like your minds to connect them in your ways. So I'll make no suggestions about that. I apologize for looking like roadkill. You saw it in my last video too, and it even got worse. I'm actually healing now, sort of. What happened is I got down to a very, very, very deep cellular level of memories of Babylon, Bavel. And when I did, it triggered all of my ancestors who were under that influence, and had all kinds of physical manifestations from it in the areas of my body where those ancestors are most expressed. And unfortunately, I had to wear this on my face. Yeah, I tried not to go out too much. It was funny, I put up a picture of myself the way I looked a few days ago on Facebook. And I don't know why Facebook found the post of some interest. And they asked one of my friends if they remember seeing it, who had commented on it, and what they thought about it. And my friend didn't fill out the questionnaire. They wanted this person to fill out a whole questionnaire about it. So if it's of interest to Facebook, I guess I'll explain. What happens is we don't understand the resurrection correctly normally. People think that, I don't know, people are going to like walk out of their graves all at once, and it's not the way it works. The way it really works is we access our own ancestors who have unsettled issues that are still expressing themselves in us in the hopes of fixing whatever it is that they didn't manage to fix during their lifetimes, and they're not at rest until those things get resolved. And those happen to be the parts of our bodies that we call our weak spots. Yeah, this is why we have weak spots. And when we access that, and we can face and admit whatever it was that we denied and pushed away into the past, right? We have all kinds of physical manifestations from it that are very uncomfortable because they have to heal. These are sores. These are things that are pathological within us. They express themselves as a pathology, and if we deal with it honestly, we heal from it, and the body begins to heal. That is the real resurrection of the dead. It's not a pleasant process to go through because we have to face things that are really hard, and then deal with the physical pain of it and the healing, which takes a lot of energy. But when we do that, we hook into all of that power, and it becomes a part of us, and we get much stronger, as well as having cleared out. So that's why I look the way I do. I'm healing now from it, and that's good. Wouldn't have scared you with the zombie face. Like, if you want to see it, it's on Facebook. It's real. I was scary. I want to talk about President Trump, who I have tremendous respect for. I think he's doing tremendously wonderful things. The last of which was lowering the price of medicines for people. I hope that he's going to dovetail that. I expect that he will with his anti-addiction program, so that it doesn't make people, make it cheaper for people to be addicted. He's doing great things. But I have also been observing his limitations, and they are of some concern to me. He's a real, strong guy when he's facing down the Ayatollahs and Kim Jong-un, As soon as he's confronted by Netanyahu, he turns into a wet noodle. He becomes deferent and obsequious and, worst of all, obedient. That tells me that he knows what his limitations are, which is very good and very important. He knows that he is not able to battle the Jews. The fact that Trump has chosen to be obedient to the wrong Jews, that is the Jews that are running the Babylonian world order, is not good. Because all of the good that he's going to do is going to be undone because he's not getting to the root of what the problem is. Babylon is not a geographical area, as I've described. Babylon is a state of being. And it is kept in place by the dark side of the Jews. We have a godly face and we have a what you would call satanic face. We don't call it that. We just are ourselves. But the way it expresses itself to others is as God and Satan. He has made his place with the dark side. I think that he thinks that he can placate them. I think that he thinks that he can... I don't think he realizes what he's really dealing with. I think that he thinks that all Jews are the same, that we're all basically good, and that he can strike a deal with someone like the people who are running. It's not Netanyahu, it's who's running Netanyahu. It's who's Netanyahu's masters are. He's what you would call making a deal with the devil. He wants to have his cake and eat it too. He wants to dance at 2 weddings. Do I have any other cliches to describe it? He wants to do as much as he can, but keep his fortune in order too. And it doesn't work that way. Because the Jews who walk on the right side of God are not the rich Jews. If a Jew is rich, if a Jew is powerful in the sense of having temporal power, this is a Jew who has turned their back on God. This is a Jew who has decided to go the wrong way. In this world, it's not that being wealthy and good is impossible. It's not. In fact, that we want to get there in a positive kind of a way. In this world, in the Babylonian order, in order to have money and wealth and temporal power and holdings, properties, all this stuff, one has to make moral compromises with their conscience. And these are Jews who are going to be cut off. Frankly, they're going to be cut off. The rabbis want to believe that that they're going to be part of the unification. They're fooling themselves. There will be a unification of the righteous Jews. The unrighteous Jews will be cut off. That's what Torah says specifically. Yes. We don't need rotten members. We can regenerate whatever members we need to. So we don't need to graft on the rotten ones. I've seen the limitations of the intelligence that is available to the Gentiles. Basically what they're doing is they're working with technology to watch people and doing things within technology, which means that they are firmly under Babylonian control. They are working within the framework of the physical laws, such as they exist in the world order that is called Babylon. And they're not able to change the natural laws, of course, because they are Gentiles. Only the Jews can change the natural laws. And that is precisely what the organization of righteous Jews in every generation. This is an intergenerational organization, body, precisely wants to do, is create a world order which is Torah. The new world order that the Babylonian masters are trying to work on is Babylon even worse. In other words, in the Babylonian order, some degree of independence, some degree of rebellion, some degree of disagreement is still possible. They want to bring in a world order in which none of that is possible. It's completely neutralized. The righteous Jews want to bring in a world order in which the physical laws will no longer be a platform for evil at all. It simply won't be possible. So one might ask, what about free will? If being evil isn't possible, what about free will? Do you think you have free will now? I mean, really. Do you think you have unlimited abilities now? There are certain things which are absolutely impossible to do, or very near impossible to do now. And a world order in which evil is made virtually impossible is the best of all possible worlds, until we get to a point where maybe after 1,000 years of living in a world order like that, evil will be possible, but nobody will want it anymore. You know, sort of like the vegans that, you know, after a certain time of being vegan, the meat doesn't even talk to you anymore. But in the beginning, we'll have a world order in which evil will not be possible. Physical laws simply will not allow it. All man-made law systems are based on certain presuppositions of how the physical world is going to work and respond. Okay? So if somebody passes a law and says, if you do such and such, or if you don't do such and such, we will put you in jail, they are presupposing that cement acts in such and such a way, and steel acts in such and such a way, and that manacles can be placed on you and actually hold you. And in the Babylonian world order, in fact, matter does act that way. It has no moral content. When it's touched by someone who is both moral or someone who's immoral, it responds to either touch what's going to be in the beginning of the Messianic era is matter will respond to moral signals and will not respond in the same way to those who are moral as it will as to those who are immoral. It simply will not cooperate or allow itself to be used. It will reject negative, morally negative, not electrically negative, morally negative signals. Therefore, the law systems will be rendered meaningless. Doesn't make any sense to go up against the law systems so long as the physical platform that allows them to exist is still in place. Right? You can't dismantle the master's house with the master's tools. So you need a world in which, they can write all the laws that they like, but they can't enforce them because the matter doesn't cooperate. And Torah talks about physical changes, deep physical changes occurring under God's law. This is precisely what the real Messianic age looks like. And the laws of nature, the ways in which nature responds, is different too. We're already seeing that animals, species that we thought were enemies, natural enemies, are suddenly accepting one another, even nursing one another, protecting one another. We see this is already happening, and this trend will continue. But as far as Trump goes, he's a good man, but he's not able to understand the real depths of what goes on with the Jews, and I think he knows that. I think he knows that those are things that are above his head, and he's making his bed with the wrong side. Netanyahu is not on the right side of the Jews, and he's firmly entrenched in Babylon. Babylon is precisely what is falling apart. They'll soon find that it's not the people that will rebel against them. Nature itself is going to balk and rebel and repel. And they won't be able to use their weapons and tools the way they thought they could. Energy itself will change. All of their electronic and energy weapons will be rendered useless because energy will react very, very differently. It will have a moral content and will not allow itself to be used to immoral purposes. So all of their gadgets are going to be rendered ineffectual. And it's like they'll realize they've been grinding a lot of water. Just even making them was a waste. These are the changes that are going to be occurring. One last thing is what is the matter of Mashiach and Yeshua? In Torah, we are presented with what appears to be a figure, right? The figure of Abraham, the figure of Moshe, the figure of Tzipporah, the figure of Rachel, the figure of David. And we think that this is talking about a person if we're in a Babylonian state of consciousness, in a constricted state of consciousness. Actually, all of the figures that appear in Torah are speaking about the Jewish people throughout our generations. We are all Avraham, we are all Moshe, we are all Shlomo. It is the same thing with HaMashiach. HaMashiach is not one individual. HaMashiach is all of the righteous Jews in all of our generations. These are the people who come to save the world. These are the people who come into this world and don't make a lot of money and don't gather a lot of power and walk through the world basically defenseless in their own bodies and suffer the slings and arrows of both evil Jews and the Gentiles that are under their sway, and try to raise people's consciousness. This is the truth of Mashiach. This is the truth of Yeshua. You're talking about all of the Jews who've tried to make the world a better place for you in all of our generations. Thank you for listening.